Am I the asshole for buying dishware at a thrift store before someone else could? This happened a few weeks ago, and I cannot stop thinking about it. I went to Goodwill and saw a really lovely set of wooden plates and two matching bowls. I actually needed them for their intended purpose. I was going to grab the items, but there was this woman standing in front of them with her phone out, loudly complaining about how she could not find the maker's mark on the dishware, as the bottoms were left blank. I assumed she was one of those resellers, as her cart was filled to the brim with glassware, and I did see a leather jacket in there, too. I walked up next to her and asked if she was going to buy the dishes. She glared at me and said yes, telling me to get lost because she was there first. So I just said, "Fine, no need to be rude, lady." It was a simple yes or no question. I walked away to look elsewhere, and she was now looking in the books section, but the wooden dishes were not in her cart. I walked over, saw them still on the shelf, and put them in my cart. As I walked away, she came back, noticed I had them in my cart, and started losing her temper, telling me she was going to buy those because they were from a very high-end artist. I told her she walked away from the shelf and left them there. If she really wanted them, she should have put them in her cart. She immediately started grabbing my cart and taking everything from it, as I had found a hoodie thing called the Comfy and some vintage Pyrex in a collectible pattern. She said I was taking money away from good people like her and that she was losing sales because of people like me buying items to use and not resell. I yelled at her to take her hands off my items, and by this point, an employee stocking nearby came over and asked what was going on. The lady tried to say I stole items from her cart. I said she was stealing from mine. The reseller lady looked around and saw a different employee had taken her abandoned cart, which she left in the book section, and was putting her items back. She freaked out, dropped my items, and ran after him. I looked at the employee, who then just waved me off, and I left with my purchases. I told some people about it, and a close friend said I should have just given her everything because reselling is her job, and another friend agreed with her. But they only said that when I mentioned the Comfy was a $50 garment. Edit to add some context. My friend said they feel bad that she was reduced to being a reseller in this economy. Reddit verdict: not the asshole, poo mode. Top comments. Comment: not the asshole. The whole point of thrift stores is for people like you to reuse items instead of them going to a landfill. People would argue that those who buy cheap and resell expensive are the leeches. Thank you for helping the environment. Good on you for saving money, and great that you got something to appreciate. Answer: resellers are just as bad as scalpers of tickets and the scalpers of items like Pokemon trading cards. They prevent regular people from being able to afford normal items, or from being able to find those treasures at thrift stores. Comment: resellers are the reason thrifting has gotten so expensive. You are definitely not the asshole. Comment: people like her are the reason thrift stores raise prices. Thrift stores are not there just for resellers. They are there for people who need things. Answer: a friend of mine told me recently that the Goodwill she goes to has raised the prices so high on things that it is almost the same price as buying it new. Why pay the same price for something that is second-hand? These resellers are obnoxious. Comment: you should have given her everything because reselling is her job? What kind of scalper logic is that? Not the asshole. Answer: for real. Original poster, your friends are actually very foolish. Do not buy used things because we should think of the resellers? What in the world is this world coming to? Another answer: we have reached the point where we forgive people for being utterly deplorable and price gouging because it is what we have come to expect. Literally everywhere you turn, they are trying to get every single penny out of you and me, and I, for one, think it is unacceptable. That concert ticket that should be $40? Well, someone who doesn't even like the artist got the tickets before you, and now it's $80. That 12-pack of Coke that was $3 a few years ago is $9 now. Want to store more photos on your phone? $5 a month. I could go on for pages. The list of establishments I am silently protesting is longer than the list of places I will actually spend my money. Comment: not the asshole. She walked away, signaling she did not want those items. If she wanted them, she should have grabbed them, especially knowing you were interested and in the store. Answer: this. You accepted her, disgustingly rude word, that she was taking them when she was standing there. Once she walked away, that is a universal declaration of, I am not buying the item I left on the shelf. At that point, you were free to buy it. That is how store etiquette works universally, regardless of your intent for the future of the item or whether you are in a thrift store or a regular retail store. Not the asshole. Comment. Not the asshole. There is no such thing as dibs in a store. If you want something, put it in your cart. If you walk away from it, you are relinquishing your right to it. She sounds very immature and self-centered. Write what you think about this situation. Who did the right thing, and who is the asshole? Let's discuss it in the comments. In the meantime, let's move on to the next story. Am I the asshole? My parents were disrespectful, so I made them take a taxi home from the airport. Am I the asshole? My parents, 61 male and 67 female, went away on holiday, and it was agreed that I would drop them off and potentially pick them up, although this was to be confirmed due to lack of space in my car. I have a 5-year-old child and am a single parent. My weekends are usually very busy with rigid schedules. My parents know this. My son had football this morning from 10:20 to 11 o'clock, and my mom said that she would let me know when I should start making my way to collect them from Heathrow Airport to minimize pickup charges. It was a tight schedule this morning, as I also had to walk the dogs before football, take my kid to football, restock the house with essential groceries, plus some extra for a nice dinner that I had planned for my parents upon their return, and unpack my very small car to make space for their luggage. So, my mom calls me at 12 o'clock to say they have just landed, and then 25 minutes later lets me know they are ready to be collected. I had just finished the food shop, and I just had to unpack it, then I was going to collect them. This would mean my parents would have to wait 35 minutes for me to collect them. I let them know as much. My parents turned around and yelled, saying do not bother, and how they did not care about the food shopping and that I was unkind and unhelpful. I drove them an hour to Gatwick for their departure flight. They just expected me to be there right away. So I responded by letting them know I was on my way as soon as I had put all the refrigerated items away. They let me know this was not good enough. So I told them I drove you to Gatwick, did a few chores for them whilst they were away that were a big expense time and money-wise that they have yet to pay me back for, and that they can get a taxi home. I then hung up as I found their attitude to be completely disrespectful. They called me back right away, doubling down that I'm an asshole. So I repeated, get a taxi. An hour later, my dad calls me, chewing my ear off, saying, are you not collecting us then? When are you getting here? I told him what I told my mom, get a taxi. He said that they have ordered one, but that it is taking a while. I said, it will. If you had been nice, you would be home already. Then I hung up on him. They got home 2 hours later than they would have liked, due to me refusing to collect them, but I want them to know that they cannot treat me like shit and expect me to go out of my way for them. They have stonewalled me since. In comparison, they refused to drive 10 minutes to the train station to pick me up when I came back from Italy with an ear infection, so I had to get a taxi home. Whilst the distance home is considerably shorter, they refused because they did not feel like it, not because they could not. I may have been the asshole by telling them to get a taxi and hanging up, but I feel that I need to get an outside perspective as I feel justified in my decision based on the principle of respect. Update. So, my parents did get a taxi home in the end, and I did not greet them because I was still angry with them. My mom came upstairs in the evening to berate me. The usual, you're so disrespectful and unreliable talk. I told her that I did not come because she was rude and disrespectful to me. She is adamant that she was not. I asked her, is 30 minutes really too long to wait? And her response was, why should I have to? I let her know that was the last ride she was ever getting from me. She was not fazed at all. Reddit verdict, not the asshole. To the taxi driver as they were to you, they would still be sitting at the airport. Not the asshole. Answer. Right, honestly, I get they might be tired, but after a measly 1-hour flight, all I wanted to do was stand and go for a walk to stretch my legs, go to the toilet, and hit up the cafe for something to eat and drink. I had not eaten all day because I get nauseous flying due to anxiety. I would have happily said, no worries, just let me know when you are on your way and I will head down to the pickup zone. Original poster is not the asshole, and if you were still unsure, what would they have done if you talked to them that way? Comment. Not the asshole. They played stupid games and won stupid prizes. If my parents are kind enough to pick me up at the airport, I would be very grateful, even though I had to wait. If they told me to expect a long waiting time, I would just take the taxi without bothering them. A family pickup is a privilege, not a responsibility. Your parents are extremely entitled. Answer: Yes. Also, they did the whole thing of, we will call you when we are ready to be picked up. Okay, and what? Original poster is meant to spend all day not knowing exactly when they are expected to hurry over? They could have said, flight should land at such and such time. We will keep you in the loop about any delays. It would be great if you can be there to pick us up at such and such time, unless we tell you about delays. In that case, it would be slightly shitty to be in the store at such and such time without saying ahead of time, well, I have to grocery shop, so I likely will not be there right at such and such time, more like such and such time at the earliest. But no, the parents just wanted to call when they were ready. If you want to have an opinion about timeliness, you need to communicate better than that. Not the asshole. You are not their personal driver. You have other things to do. They were going to have to wait for you to drive to the airport anyway, possibly a long while if there was traffic. If they were not prepared to hang out, they should have planned better. Comment: Haha, I read until 35-minute wait, and in my books, not anywhere near Heathrow or Gatwick, but I think logic and courtesy are universal. In my books, a 35-minute wait in the daytime, you said 12 o'clock, at an international airport is called go get a seat, a pastry, and a cup of tea. Like, of course it will be pricier than the town or suburb shops, and they may not have as attractive promotions or varieties, but I would 100% do it for the courtesy of being picked up. And you don't eat at airport prices every day anyway. Jeesh. And yes, if you don't want to wait to be picked up in 35 minutes over a coffee and cake, call a cab. And usually cabs are pricey and tend to have an airport surcharge or whatever. But that's the alternative if you don't want to wait to be picked up, am I right? Not the asshole. They suck. It's 35 minutes. You didn't say no, and it's not 3 hours. I maintain all they needed was to chill somewhere for a bit. What do you think about this situation? Who do you think is a jerk, and who did the right thing? Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to the channel to get more cool and interesting stories. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.